Are you getting ready to plan an event or maybe launch your event planning business? Or maybe you're an in-house event planner and you're just looking to learn from other people's systems? Well, I got this question from one of you that was all about what software do you use for organizing clients and staying up to date on projects? Great question. I'm going to dive more into it again from the lens of being a solopreneur and freelancer. So I am the only full-time employee at my company, but I do hire contractors and work with them occasionally. So I'm going to share a couple of the software things that I use and just how I kind of track all of my different projects that I have going at one time. Before we jump into it, I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, turn on that little notification bell so you get notified every single Monday when I drop new videos. I'm also the co-host of the Better Events podcast with fellow event pro Mary Davidson. We release new episodes every single Wednesday. We've had some really fun ones recently about our favorite books of all time. We dive even more into these in-depth topics with events in a much longer format, about 30 minutes for those episodes, and they're free, dropping every Wednesday. So listen wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, so this question about how I manage my projects and staying organized and on top of what I need to do, this is an answer that I'm answering now in the first quarter of 2024, and I started my business back in 2016, and how I managed things then is not exactly how I manage things now. They're not wildly different, but I have utilized different tools. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that depending on when you watch this video. So here in the first quarter of 2024, my key tools that I use, and I used this when I started, my big one is Google Drive. I do pay for a Google business account. That's where my email address and everything is linked. But my Google Drive is so helpful for me for tracking live documents. So instead of having to send back Excel sheet after Excel sheet, remembering to rename it V2, V5, V57, I got to the point for one project that I really utilize live documents. And this is something that's so easy for me to share with other people on my team when I hire other event people to come work with me, and also to create shared folders and documents with my event clients. I also am familiar with OneDrive. I'm not as well versed as I am in the Google products, but I also will use OneDrive, which is the Microsoft's similar version, but uses all the Microsoft products. So that's really helpful. All of my run of shows are in Google Sheets. They're in a live editable format versus me having to save them as individual Excels and things like that. So Google Drive is a really big one. My second one that I'm really working in now is called ClickUp. This is like a Monday.com. I mean, there's so many of these. It's just really a project management tool. I'm using the free version, and that has been really helpful for me because, again, it's more just tracking my own personal to-dos. This has been nice because I've been able to set up templates of certain pre- and post-event things that I need to do for all of my clients, like invoicing, contracting, post-event wrap-up things that I just am going to do no matter what kind of event it is. And then I really leave the middle part up to each individual project and my scope of work. But that has been a tool that I used because Mary and I use it for our podcast. And so I started to learn how to use it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of helpful. I tried a number of other tools. I know there's HoneyBook out there that's geared a little bit more at creatives. I tried a platform called 17 Hats, and it was super robust and almost too robust for me. I didn't have the need for it. So ClickUp has been really nice because I can just customize it based on what I need, and I just can keep it all track in one location. On the non-tech side, I am very paper-based as well. I love my notebooks. I have a traveler's notebook that allows me to put little notebooks inside this big leather-bound case, and that I do one notebook per client usually, especially the longer ones, and it's just nice because then I can track all my handwritten notes that I take in my calls and my meetings and even on site in one place. I found that I will then need to type up some of those things to have that digital record, but I do love paper. That is just really helpful for staying on track for me. And again, ClickUp has really turned into one of those tools that I go back to translate some of these to-dos that I write down handwritten on my notepad or in my typed notes. I will put it in ClickUp because you can assign a deadline to it, which is essentially a reminder for future you to make sure you're actually doing those things that you said you were going to do. And lastly, I do a 1-2 punch for my onboarding process, which of all the things I do in events, I would say the onboarding in the sense of the signing of the contract, the paying of the invoices, that part is like my least favorite part of what I do. I'd rather jump into the nitty gritty of your event and how we're going to work together. And so I've utilized my QuickBooks, which is how I do my accounting. And that's how I send my invoices now. I used to like download it from QuickBooks, take the PDF, attach it to an email, also insert the QuickBooks link. And I stopped doing that about a year ago. And I now you can hit send and send invoices directly through QuickBooks. And I've started doing that. I haven't had any complaints. And that's been super easy, but it does give me the flexibility. I have like one client that needs the PDF invoice in an email attachment, and I do that for them. But for everybody else, I create the invoices in my accounting software, and then I just have to hit send, and it sends them out to them. And I can send reminders too if there's late payments, and it can automatically apply late payments, which is awesome. So they're my one of my 1-2 punch, and my second one then is DocuSign. So massive contracting software. I'd used it a number of times, and I had a client have me use it when I was managing a bunch of sponsors for their event. And it was so easy and just nice to automate that process of sending the contract back and forth that I've migrated all of my contracts there, including my contractor agreements. And it's just so easy to template it, drop your PDF in there. I'm sure there's even more features I'm not taking advantage of. But that one for DocuSign, I am paying for like the lowest level that is. QuickBooks is also a paid service. So just to recap, Google Drive, it's a free tool, but you need to pay for extra storage, which at this point I've been in business long enough. That's what I'm doing. ClickUp, you can pay for it, but I'm using the free version. It seems to fit what I need as an individual event producer, like all by myself. I don't have employees. I feel like if you did, you might need to get the paid version. And then I use QuickBooks and DocuSign for tracking all of my invoicing and contracts. So that is just a tip of the iceberg of all the tools that I use to stay on top of my event clients and projects. But those are kind of my core group. I feel like if you also listen to the Better Events podcast, I love my passion planner, which is my handwritten planner. And I still do handwritten planning, and that's just something that I enjoy doing. But I am usually transcribing things that I put in ClickUp weeks or months ahead of time. I'm then just capturing it in the planner. That planner is just a way for me mentally to actually understand and really remember what I'm doing. So I do kind of a double system of having a digital version in ClickUp, and then I also write it out in my passion planner, and that seems to help me catch anything that might have fallen through the cracks and just makes me really happy. Well, that's all I got for you folks. I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I will see you in my next video. Bye.